So we just reached.
The final bell sounded.
Let's turn this down some. We just reached the final bell. If you don't know, I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live, the owner and founder of FightView360.com. And if you do or do not know, I cover every single major fight live. And what I mean by live is this video is real time. It is unedited. It is uncut. The final round, the final bell of the 12th round has just rang, and I don't know who won the fight. Now, let me already start by saying I know that there's going to be some race baiters out there that are going to say that Danny Jacobs won the fight. I don't know what the cards are. We're going to listen to the cards. This fight was somewhat kind of similar to Kovalev versus Ward in a way. But in my personal opinion, I do heavily feel that I'm in the long line when I say that Gennady Golovkin won the fight. He even scored a knockdown. However, Danny Jacobs may, in my opinion, have lost the fight. But there's a saying that goes that if you that he may have won the battle, but did he win the war? And the war is, let's listen to the cards.
113, Gennady Golovkin.
Golovkin on Harold Letterman's card is winning 114 to 113. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to keep this video under 10 minutes because we have a live stream to do where we can go into more detail.
Go either way. I've got a 6 rounds apiece, Jim. But in points, 114, 113, Gennady Golovkin.
And we will await the official scores from...
So we're still waiting for the scorecards. I do feel Golovkin has won. However, the reason why the cards are so close is because Golovkin was respecting Danny Jacobs' power. Turns out it may have been good for Danny Jacobs to come in heavier. However, later on in the fight, even though he didn't gas out, because if he would have gassed out, he would have got knocked out. Later on in the fight, he did slow down. Mouth was open, punches were smothered, arms were down. Now let's listen to these cards. Now I already know, in my personal opinion, that if I'm about, put it this way, I'm about 2 rounds behind because I rewinded watching the chocolate Roman Gonzalez card.
Is Golovkin 35-1 or is he 36-0?
So let's listen. After watching Roman Gonzalez get somewhat robbed,
Mike Buffett's ready now with the decision.
Let's listen. We're going to turn it up. Please subscribe.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at the Mecca of boxing, Madison Square Garden, New York City, we go to the scorecards. A round of applause for both fighters in this middleweight contest.
One thing is for sure is Golovkin doesn't like keeping into a fight.
And Steve Weisfeld have it 115, 112. Max DeLuca scores at 114 to 113 to the winner by unanimous decision. Still undefeated and still...
Okay, all right, he won.
The universally recognized.
Now, let's say this.
Champion of the world.
Let's say this.
Gennady.
Are you going to be one of them people that are going to say that Golovkin is a bum, or you always knew he was a bum because he went the distance with Danny Jacobs? Or are you going to say that, well, Danny Jacobs got robbed? Are you going to be one of them scumbags?
Gennady Golovkin escapes with another victory.
Are you going to say that, well, Golovkin, we should have known that he's not as hyped because he was supposed to knock Danny Jacobs out? The same people that are likely going to say that are the ones that said, or going to say that Danny Jacobs should have beat Golovkin, or was rooting for him to beat Golovkin.
Final CompuBox numbers in the...
Now, here's some important numbers, so let's go through this.
Total punch.
Now, let's go through this, right? 618 thrown by Golovkin, 233 landed. 542, just about what 80 or so punches. Less than Golovkin, 176 landed. So basically, Golovkin through the CompuBox landed about 50 more total punches. He thrown about 80 more total punches. He landed at 38%. We already talked about what CompuBox or CompuStat is. You know, there's a margin of difference there because it's not fully computerized. And it's hard to really computerize the motion of boxers. So guess what? There are people that are actually doing the CompuBox. Somebody sitting there with this little keyboard thing doing the numbers. So, long story short, that's the way I view it. Now, Danny Jacobs, I have this paused. So what we're going to do is we want to keep this video under 10 minutes because I have a live stream to do. You know, we're going to talk much more in detail. So we're going to listen to the rest of this. We're going to listen to the post-fight interviews, and then we're going to talk. Please subscribe. Please visit FightView360.com. A lot of shit going on.
Golovkin landing 57 more, throwing 76 more. And at the end of the day, maybe that's what made the difference as Golovkin landed at a slightly higher connect percentage, 38 to 32.
Okay, now listen to this. Now, this is important. Now, the rule of thumb is power shots are more important than jabs. But Golovkin's jab is like a power shot. That shit will knock your fucking head back. So, 106 landed jabs by Golovkin to 31. Golovkin landed 106 jabs. Danny Jacobs landed 31 jabs. Gennady Golovkin threw 358 jabs. Danny Jacobs, 170 jabs. That's 30% to 18%. Now, what you noticed is when Golovkin goes up against power punchers or fighters who we've shown that he's shown respect of power to, he throws more jabs. Did you notice that? Now, that's nothing wrong with that because he does have a very beautiful and accurate jab. But even though that number seems to be somewhat deceiving, the 31 of 170, Danny Jacobs was landing some nice, good jabs on Golovkin, more so in the first half of the fight. But let's listen to the rest of the punch stat numbers because I'm sure the power punches are coming up next.
Landing 106, Jacobs only 31, as Golovkin threw 358 jabs, focusing on that punch through most of the fight, while Jacobs was focused on power punches. Outlanded Golovkin in that category 145 to 127, while throwing 112 more power punches. Golovkin.
Okay, now here is where things get tricky. This is the reason why I feel the fight was so close. Now, for those who watched the fight, in my personal opinion, and the reason why I keep saying my personal opinion is because I don't like to offend people. Hey, listen, if you feel that Danny Jacobs won, you feel he won. That's not my problem. I'm not the type of person going to come on here and call you an idiot and say, oh, you were wrong and yada, yada, yada. Truth be told, I don't give a fuck. But when it comes to power punches, now remember we talked about earlier, jabs are not considered to be as important when it comes to scoring fights than power punches. So, Golovkin, he landed 127 power punches. But yet, remember, he had that big discrepancy in jabs. He threw so many more jabs. And we talked about how his jabs are very powerful jabs. So, he threw 127. No, he landed 127 power punches, right? To Danny Jacobs' 145 power punches, which is an 18-punch difference. Now, remember, it's combi box, whatever the case may be. Now, Danny Jacobs is not known to be a jabber. Gennady Golovkin isn't, but his jab is very powerful. I don't want to keep repeating the same thing over and over again, but I found that a lot of you guys are like women, man. Moving on. Golovkin, 260 power punches thrown. Danny Jacobs, 372. So if you look at it, you can tell that Golovkin, just by, the mixture of jabs and power punches, that he's more of the overall boxer. We should have known that already about him. Danny Jacobs is more of the pressure fighter, power puncher, but in this case, he was fighting on the back foot a lot, to whereas Golovkin was using the jab to get inside, but at the same time respecting Danny Jacobs' power. But what we noticed later on in the fight is that Danny Jacobs' the power that he seemed to have earlier in the fight, which wasn't much, even though he was throwing more flurries and more head hunting later on in the fight, Danny Jacobs later on in the fight, his power punches really wasn't doing nothing to Golovkin. He was hitting Golovkin with some flush shit. And the reason why I'm going into these deep, explicit details is because I know it's going to be some motherfuckers out there, and I'm sorry for my language, but please understand, I've been doing this for years, and I've proven myself, and I've done a lot when it comes to boxing on YouTube, and more so when it comes to boxing on the internet. Look at my website that I started and I founded on my own. So, moving forward, I know that there's going to be media members out there that are going to say, well, Danny Jacobs did this, and I'm a huge Danny Jacobs fan. Shout out to Danny Jacobs. I interviewed him once. The interview is right on my channel, where he watches the show. He did good. He won the battle. He didn't win the war because many people thought he was going to be knocked out, and he didn't get knocked out. He fought a very good fight. Do I feel that him missing the day of weigh-in, the IBF weigh-in? Because if you don't know, for this fight, only the Okay, let's start. We got another 5 minutes. Let's start. I'll start with this. Golovkin is very close to doing something in the 4 title sanctioned in body era. Remember, the main 4 titles in boxing are the WBC, the WBA, even though they were started earlier than the WBC. The WBA was started in 1962 and the WBC in 1963. There was a time where Muhammad Ali was the undisputed champion of the world. But during that era, he had the WBC and the WBA because the IBF and the WBO wasn't as respected at that time, or wasn't even around at that time when Muhammad Ali was considered undisputed. But in this day, age, and era, the last undisputed champion, that means to have all the belts in your division. That means if somebody comes to your division to get a championship, to say they want to be a champion, they got to go through you. The last person to do that, and he wasn't even the person to gather all the belts. The last person to have all 4 belts was Jermaine Taylor after he beat Bernard Hopkins twice. But it was Bernard Hopkins that gathered all those titles. We're in this bullshit fan casual media era where being a champion, being an undisputed champion, being the number 1 guy in your division, the number 1 guy that has all the belts, the guy that if anyone moves from 154, they got to go through you to be a champion. We're in an era where none of that matters. So this fight was for the WBC, the belt that Canelo Alvarez, this Mexican supposed superstar, he gave up. He dropped the belt to give it to Golovkin because he didn't want to fight him. There's no better way you can explain that. But Golovkin is the WBC, the WBA Super World. He just beat Danny Jacobs for the WBA World, so he consolidated both of those belts. The IBF, and now all he has to do is fight Billy Joe Saunders to be the WBO champion. Do you know how hard it is in this day, age, and era, no matter who you fight, with all the political bullshit that's going on, to be an undisputed champion? Some of you fans make me sick. You make me sick. You don't be knowing shit. So when a lot of fans say, well, what Danny Jacobs did earlier today by not making the weight for the IBF weigh-in, it was a strategy so he can be heavy, so his punches can carry more weight and he not get knocked out by Golovkin. No matter how you slice it, he had a chance to fight for 3 belts. Guess what? He was only fighting for 2 and he still lost. He still lost. So if he would have won, Golovkin would have still been IBF champion, win or lose. If Danny Jacobs would have won, because Danny Jacobs missed the weigh-in, he would have still had to fight Golovkin again if Golovkin didn't lose that IBF title to anyone else after to be undisputed champion. So when people say it was a strategy and all that, fuck out of here with that shit. If a fighter say they want to be undisputed and you want to be the best, you can't say you're the best unless you have all the belts. How are you going to say you're the best at somebody in your division and you don't have all the belts? What type of shit is that? So listen, Danny Jacobs fought a very, 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 very good fight. I'm very happy for him. I'm very proud for him. And he fought on pay-per-view in a fight where that was heavily anticipated, where a lot of fight fans felt that he was going to be knocked out. And he tested Golovkin because Golovkin, guess what? Fought a full-fledged 160-pounder in his prime. How old is Danny Jacobs? He's about 30 or he's under 30. I believe he's 28. But either way, a full-fledged, young, in-shape middleweight. So I already know what people are going to say. Well, Golovkin is, this and that. And I'm going to tell you this. Listen, on some real shit. There's people that like to troll me and like to watch my videos and call me an Uncle Tom and all that shit. On some real shit, you wouldn't say it to my face. And on some real shit, you haven't walked in my shoes. So it's like this. Look at my boxing news, rumors, or opinions, or reviews, or whatever. All the shit I talk about, you can go look up for your motherfucking self. All the shit I say in every single one of my videos, I'm not just pulling this shit out of a hat. So, we got a little bit more to listen to, and we have maybe about 3 minutes or so left after we listen to this. We want to listen to the post-fight interview from Golovkin, and the post-fight interview from Danny Jacobs. And then I'm going to be doing a live stream within the next 2 hours, and we're going to talk in detail about everything. Please subscribe. I'm T-Street Controversy. This is T-Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live.
High connect percentage with the power punches, 49%. Usually that wins fights. It won for him again tonight. Max Kellerman stands by with Gennady Golovkin.
Congratulations, Gennady, on a win in a tough and close fight. What was Daniel Jacobs able to do to make you go 12 rounds for the first time in your career that no one else has been able to do?
Yeah, first of all, of course, respect Daniel and Daniel's team. You know, it's very good job, very clean job. Daniel, I respect. And of course, respect my team, my coach Abel Sanchez, and all people who support me.
What was he able to do that neutralized you for so much of the fight?
I told you, Max, that Daniel, he's my favorite fighter. I can't destroy him. He's very clean, very good quality. You know, he's very good fighter.
You said that going into this fight, that you recognized that his size, his
speed, his
boxing IQ, his punching power was the best you've faced. And what do you think of it now?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, after second round, after I knocked him down, you know, just I respect him. Like, I need boxing, I need decision, I need...
Did you respect him too much? Did you not throw enough punches? We normally see you much more active with your hands.
Max, this is sport. This is boxing. I am a boxer. I'm not killer. No, I respect his team.
Going into the 12th round, on Harold Letterman's card ringside, he had it even. And we thought whoever won the 12th round would win the fight, and we thought that you won the 12th round. Did you think, going into the 12th round, that you needed to win it to win the fight?
You know, Max, this is boxing, yeah. I need decision fight. Right now, if you want big show, big drama show, I'm ready to big show. Right now, it's my first test for 12th round.
Did you think you needed to win the 12th round to win the fight? Did you think the fight was up for grabs?
No, this is boxing. This is boxing. I know a lot just for 12th round. I need for very quality fight. I need quality fight.
We know that you hope that your next opponent is Canelo Alvarez, should he be able to beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in their upcoming fight. Is that still your desire to fight Canelo next?
Oh, of course. I'm ready. I'm very hungry. You know, of course I want this fight. For this fight, I'm very mad, I'm very excited, you know, I'm like an animal for this fight.
Would you consider at some point giving Daniel Jacobs a rematch, considering that most feel he came close to beating you tonight?
Of course, this is boxing, I respect him, of course. Max, I give him chance for a rematch, or if you want, just, of course I'm ready.
Thanks, champ, always fun watching you. Daniel?
Let's listen to Danny.
Congratulations on a terrific performance tonight. Who do you think won the fight?
I think I won the fight, and I think these fans support me on that decision. I think they all felt like I won the fight. I thought I won by at least 2 rounds, minimum.
You didn't think we thought whoever won the 12th.
He fought a good fight. I'm sorry this video's running long. We gotta listen to this.
You did not feel that way?
I mean, when you know when you're in the fight, you can't really keep pace with it. But I did feel like I was ahead on the cards. And I felt like I needed to win the last round just to kind of seal the deal. But this is boxing. Obviously, he's a bigger draw than me, and they want to make that super matchup with him and Canelo. So Daniel Jacobs probably got X'd out. But I understand that I'm the champion in this fight. I won this fight. I won the decision. But all I can do is be gracious in defeat and be gracious in my victory. And you know, God bless him.
You've overcome a lot in your life. Earlier in your career, you were knocked out by a single punch by Pirog, who's not considered the puncher Triple G is. You've gotten bigger, stronger, better, smarter since then.
I doubted myself, though.
And somehow you were able to climb off the deck against that Triple G knockdown and take all of his shots for the rest of the fight and never go down again. What is the difference? What's the difference in this Daniel Jacobs? How are you able to do it?
I told him he had to kill me in order to whip me out this ring.
That shit look crazy.
It was a good shot, and when I went back down, I said, "Oh, this is all that he has." And at times, I stood toe to toe with him to see exactly what the power was like, what everybody was talking about, and it wasn't that bad. I got up, I fought back, and I felt like I wanted to fight.
I'm sure you want a rematch. Do you feel at this moment that you laid it all out tonight, or do you think there is yet a higher level that you can reach in a rematch against Triple G?
You know, I'm just looking forward to the future. I think I've gained a lot of fans with this fight. Hopefully a lot of people will support me still continuously in my career. I'm a fan-friendly guy. My style is, you know, is really good, and I'm looking forward to the future. Like I said before, I really felt like I won this fight, but all I can do is not cry with sour milk and continue to move forward.
Thanks, Daniel, and congratulations. Terrific performance. Jim?
All right, thank you very much, Max Kellerman. Back ringside with Roy Jones. Roy, did you have a sense as to who you thought won the fight?
I have to stop it right there. Let's talk for a couple of more minutes to wrap up this video. Listen, Danny Jacobs fought an excellent fight. I feel the cards were right. Danny Jacobs did better than anybody thought he would do, and mostly because of he did show some good boxing ability, but he also showed resilience. And that the Dimitri P-Rog, now listen, another thing I gotta say is I know people are gonna say, well, if P-Rog or P-Rog was able to knock Danny Jacobs out, then Golovkin should have. Boxing just don't work like that. It just don't work like that. You know, Golovkin fought he fought the perfect fight that he could fight for a guy whose power he had to respect. And if you saw, Danny Jacobs was hitting him with some clean shots, even though those shots wasn't moving on the Golovkin. He was hitting him with some clean shots. I'm just frustrated because I know that I'm going to hear people say that, you know, well, Golovkin should have got the knockout, or Danny Jacobs is a bum and Golovkin should have stopped. I know I'm going to hear a whole bunch of bullshit. You're probably going to hear shit about Golovkin being on the juice and all that. And I'll be thinking like, yo, where does this shit come from? Where do people just be making this shit up from, man? They just be saying anything. And that's why I'm not afraid to call out other channels and they bullshit. Because it's like, yo, for real. For real, for real. Where do you be getting this shit from? And it's like, how are you so emotionally involved and emotionally invested in boxing? Not that much. Don't get me wrong, I am. You know, I almost cried when Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. quit against Fonfara. I get emotionally invested in that way, but not emotionally invested enough where I'm going to be bending the truth or throwing all this shade at somebody and the shit don't be true. You know, so it is what it is. But listen, we got so much more in detail to talk about now. I want to see what happens with Billy Joe Saunders. Word is, Billy Joe, why don't Word Jones get this fucking Martin episode suit on? I had that suit at my 7th grade graduation. It was 8th grade graduation. But anyway, long story short, on T-Street Controversy, this is T-Street Controversy Live. Stay tuned for the live stream. I know this video was late, but stay tuned to the live stream. We're going to be up for about another 8-9 hours or so. I have no work schedule. I have no sleep schedule. Please subscribe. All the links to my social media right down below in the description box. Also expect highlights to be uploaded. T-Street Controversy Live.